Thank you. I need a motion to reconvene into open council at 10:22. Go ahead. Thanks, Eric. Second, reconvene. Jane, all in favor? That's carried. So then I'll turn it over to you, Kristen, to give us the information that we acquired during the recess.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So reading from the request that was part of a delegation at our regular meeting on September 2nd from the Legion, they were referencing the same project that was completed in Sterling Rawdon, and the total cost for their project was $3,000. The Legion was really seeking council's permission to go ahead with the crosswalk, and said that they were willing to cover the cost, but if the municipality would be willing to work with them and split the costs 50-50, they would appreciate that. And they did attach a quote for $3,000 even for the sidewalk.
So in other words, we're paying the whole cost if it's $3,000.
Correct. If we go ahead with the $3,000 allocated in the budget, that would be paying for the entire sidewalk.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions on that motion? So what I'm hearing is that the council directs staff to proceed with the fallen soldier crosswalk for $3,000.
I had put a motion on the floor
Okay,
that we
sorry.
split the cost so that we reduce that from 3,000 to 1,500 and split the
Sorry.
cost of the project.
Okay. Okay, so that it's Eric's motion that's on the floor. Maybe could you repeat that, Kristen, just so everybody's clear?
Of course. That council contribute $1,500 to the fallen soldier crosswalk and remove the extra $1,500 from the 2026 budget.
Thank you. Jane?
May I make a friendly amendment? No. It's in, I don't know how you're going to add this in keeping with their request that we share the cost with them, that we contribute 50% to the estimate 3,000 provided by the Legion. Are you okay with that?
So we did have a seconder. Ron was the seconder, I believe, for that motion, or Jane? Okay. So,
May I read the amended?
please.
That council contribute $1,500 to the fallen soldier crosswalk to act in partnership with the Legion, covering half of the cost, and remove the extra $1,500 from the 2026 budget.
Everybody okay with that? So are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. The only thing would be, I know they had talked about this was the cost at the time and they were trying to get permission to lock this cost in if the project were to cost $3,500 now, then what do you do? Right, then it's not 50%, $1,500 is not 50%. So I think I really like your partnership wording. I think it's important that that's in there, but maybe take the 50% portion of that amendment out.
Okay,
So one more time.
one more time.
That council contribute $1,500 to the fallen soldier crosswalk to act in partnership with the Legion and remove the extra $1,500 from the 2026 budget.
Everybody okay with that? Mover and seconder okay with that? So all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next is that council increase bridge reserves. And the impact of the tax levy is $100,000 or 0.98% increase. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Jane, second. Mike? Discussion. Go ahead, Ron, and then Jane.
So $100,000 in reserves for bridges, is that above what's in the capital projection? Is that right, Mike? Above that?
Yes, that was my intent on this one, because just looking going forward, we have $3.5 million estimated for Shannick, I do believe, for next year. And unless we get some money from the government, that's not even going to happen because usually they're like 70-30, I think. So we'd have to come up with about $900,000 of the 3.5 million to cover it. And right now we do not have $900,000, I do believe, that we could allocate for bridges without seriously depleting everything we have in reserves. So I think going forward, these bridges are costing us a fortune. And if we don't start putting the money away now, we're never going to catch up to the cost of one of these things. And we're going to have to raise taxes like 5 or 10% just to cover one bridge. So I would think just a little bit of pain right now goes a long ways to covering us as we go forward.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I'm just,
And then Jane. you
so
have
it's
a question?
200,000. Because we have 100 now, we're kind of going backwards here, because if we did this first, we'd know, and then when this is an addition to that. But, I have a question for the treasurer. Nancy, could you tell us what we have in reserves right now for bridges? Excluding this 200.
Through the chair to Counselor Derry, we have approximately $890,000 in bridge reserves.
So this would give us over $1 million in reserves. Correct?
Correct.
Jane.
Okay. The math is confusing me. So we're saying 100,000 in reserves. You're mentioning 200,000 with reserves and capital. I've lost something in the conversation here. Then are we allocating 100,000 or are we allocating 200,000?
That to me.
Nancy, I guess.
Through the chair to Counselor Lakatos, this isn't a to what's already in the budget.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm the word in addition. Okay, thank you.
Ron and then Eric.
Yeah, that's why I'd like to go to these first, then we can add the additions to that, because it's confusing how we're doing it, because there's already 100 there. I'm not disagreeing with Mike at all. All I'm saying is if we go through this first and then add anything extra above this, then we know where we are. It's confusing me anyway. I think that it's a good point that Mike's made, but I think we should go through these and then the extras come after that.
You want to go through the department by
Well,
department first and
It
then.
makes more sense to me. Makes sense. That's, I don't know, everybody else feels about it. That's how I
No.
see it.
Eric and then Mike.
Well, I think, or we just defer this for the moment until we get into the capital schedule. Because there are other recommendations on here which are not a financial impact, right? Like reallocation of funds. So we focus on those first and defer this until we get into capital. And then I just wanted to clarify as well while I have the floor. There's 100 in, this is another 100, and then on the last page, on the considerations page in the budget, there's also 100 as a consideration there. Is that this 100?
Yeah, I guess we'll be talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay, is there any problem with us deferring this till after we go through department by department? Are we okay with that, Kristen, to do that? Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, I think Ron's got it right, and Eric too. We've got 100,000 in the budget already. All I'm saying is, even if we have if we put this other 100,000 in, we're going to end up with $1 million roughly in reserves. But that's just the one bridge, and we've got, I think, something in the next 5 years, an estimate of something like $10.5 million in bridges that need to be repaired. We just have $3.5 million in the estimated budget for next year at $3.5 million. And I do believe, talking to Councillor Derry on that, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, I think you're thinking that 3.5 million is maybe low on that bridge. Am I correct? Or I know we don't know 100%, but 3.5 million doesn't seem to go a long way on a bridge.
No, the estimation's quite low. I would double that. And
So
then some.
I can just make sure that I'm understanding, going through here the way that we want. This is one that we want, like where there's a direct impact to the tax levy, we'll defer it to the department. But like if there's a couple other recommendations here that can be maybe resolved during this portion. Is that okay that we go that way? So this particular one, we're going to defer till, yeah. So go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to defer it till the end.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying if we defer it till the end, then it makes a little more sense. Because it's an extra, right? We're doing the extras first, which I think they should come after in the consideration portion. That's how we usually do the considerations
Okay.
at the end. And I think that's how I'm used to it anyway.
John, did you want to speak to that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
So through your chair to council, I think the best way to, so we'll defer all these items in the treasurer's report, with the exception, I think, recreation, which won't have a tax impact. But the idea is everything else will be deferred until we've gone department by department and then come back to that's what I would
That
recommend.
okay, Ron?
process.
That's work for you? Okay, and you're okay with that, Kristen? That's okay. So we're not going to talk about any more of these right now then? Oh, sorry, all in favor of the deferral. That's carried. So. Okay. Yeah. So, the Parks and Rec recommendation is, that council reallocate the tennis court reserve contribution to a general Parks and Recreation reserve. $50,000, and it's saying that it's already absorbed in the funds allocated. So can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Jane, second. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Mike, thank you. Any discussion on that? Jane and then Eric.
So just for clarification on the wording, does this mean that the money is no longer earmarked solely for the tennis courts and can be used anywhere in Parks and Recreation? I need clarification on that, please.
Through the chair to Councillor Lactos, that is correct, that it would go into the general fund. Doesn't mean that it cannot be put towards this project. It will be used in association with grant opportunities, that sort of thing. But this would just give us the flexibility to choose whether or not to put it towards the playground or the tennis courts as those opportunities provide more clarity of what we would like to do moving forward and what is a higher priority at this time.
Okay, Jane.
I got the answer. I don't know if it's okay. May I ask something else?
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, we hear people talking in the community, and we don't all hear the same thing. Jeff, have you heard a lot of interest in the tennis court as being a tennis court and other uses?
Through the chair to Councillor Lactos, just to give you a background on some form of a report that we had in the works, but upon meeting with various members of the public, it is apparent that there is a need for the restoration of this recreational area. The current playing surface is beyond repair and therefore not a viable option for user groups in the municipality. To complete this restoration would attract new users and facilitate a need for physical activity for participants of all ages. If this project were to take place, the current tennis courts would be restored as a multi-use pad addressing the needs of tennis, pickleball, and basketball in the community. Upon initial assessment, the playing space would be divided into one tennis court and space for 4 pickleball courts within the current physical dimensions. There would also be 2 basketball nets included in the design, as the current basketball court sees limited use due to the proximity of the river. This project has an ultimate cost of approximately $150,000, depending on what the municipality would choose to include in the scope of work. Whether we intend on keeping the existing perimeter fence or replacing it along the way. Some of those parts of this scope of work are still in the preliminary stages, and therefore, until we have all that funding in one place, we're looking at grant opportunities, but I would like the flexibility of whether or not this solely goes towards the tennis court resurfacing, or whether other opportunities along the way, whether it be the accessibility and the playground. Personally, I feel like there are other higher priorities than the tennis courts at this time, but it doesn't mean that we already have $50,000 allocated for this project. If we move forward keeping it as this project, then we would then be up to 100,000 and very close to our means. But having this 50,000 in the general reserves doesn't mean that it wouldn't go towards this project. It's just meaning that we'd have a contribution towards other aspects, other grant opportunities if they came along, if we worked as a management team to find another avenue to explore. It'd be ensuring that we have funding available for other opportunities as well.
Thanks, Jeff. Anything further on that? Ron?
Yeah, through the chair to Jeff. So anything that you'll put 50,000 away, I understand, and anything you're gonna use it on, you'll be coming forward with a report to council anyhow for approval, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Anything further? Eric?
Just general comment. I'm glad to see that Jeff put this in there for his department, the 50 we did last year plus the 50 this year. That goes a long way to building a strong reserve for grant applications, to have $100,000 towards the project. There's so many grants out there that are geared towards physical activity. So we're in a good position with this in there.
Thank you. Anything further?
Oh, go ahead.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I think that's a better idea to put the money in there, and then as grants come up, we may get a grant for a tennis court where they're going to supply 70% of the funding, and we could go ahead with it, or we could have numerous grants for other things, but we have to have the funds available to do it. We turned down a couple grants there 2 years ago, I believe, because we just did not have any money set aside to be able to access the grant. So we do need funds. A lot of the funding is, 30-70, some of it's 50-50. So we need to be able to be flexible and get things done. If there's a huge need for the tennis courts, as Ron brought up, this is going to come back to council and we can make a decision at that time, but we would have the funds available in the reserve to be able to do these things. Whereas right now, with just 50,000 in there for other things, it limits us in our flexibility as Jeff maintains, and I agree with him.
Thanks, Mike. Go ahead, Eric.
Just a question through the chair to Jeff. Ideally, based on what you're kind of speaking of for this reserve, it sounds like you're more focused on like outdoor spaces and saving it for other outdoor uses. Is there any chance that this would somehow end up in the arena?
Through the chair to Councillor Dallas, that is not the intention. Parks and Recreation would remain Parks and Recreation. I just believe we have to be cognizant of our existing playground as well, and the gem that is Memorial Park, and providing activities for users of all ages. And I believe this is just keeping our options open, and that is my intention. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, just a question through the chair to Nancy. So this 50,000 does not change where our increase is at right now.
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, no, this 50,000 is already in the budget. It's just being reallocated.
And could you tell me that number, because I forget, of the increase?
So currently right now it is at 4.83% with removing the $1,500 for the fallen soldier. walkway.
4.8?
83. And it was at 4.84.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Anything further, Jane?
I would just like to say, to the public, I know that there is a lot of discussion about the tennis court, and there's a lot of discussion as Parks and Recreation. As councillors, we all have a vested interest in the members of our community and their wants and their needs and their desires. And as we've all heard from all of our councillors today, some of the decisions are harder to make than others, but it's all for the municipality and for the general public at large. So I just want people to understand that.
Thanks, Jane. Anything further? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Jeff. So we don't want to deal with anything more on this particular report until we go through the departmental reports. Is that right? Okay. So moving on to, have to find the page here. I guess, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, page 71. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, page 12 of the report, but page 71 of the agenda package. Okay. So when we get to the departments involved with those previous recommendations, Kristen, you'll put a flag up that we need to consider that as part of that department, or do you want to just leave it all to the very end of the departmental? How do you? No, I said, like, you know, the page that we just said, we're not going to deal with all of those until we come to the specific department. Do you want to deal with the resolution when we're dealing with that department, or wait till the very end?
The reason I like doing it this way is I can keep track of the 4.83 and it doesn't get away on us, so that we already deal with what we've budgeted for, and then the extra come at the end, so we know, okay, whether we can
Okay,
take something away or give something to maintain that number, or whatever that number will be. That works for me. I don't know about everybody else.
is everybody else okay with that? Okay, then I guess move to page 71 of 130. And it's Service Department for Council and Governance. So everybody got that page to speak to? Any discussion on that department? Service and department. So Kristen, do we need an individual recommendation for each department? No, okay. So any discussion on that particular department? Jane?
So I have that $2,100 increase, is that all wages, or is it all benefits, or is it a happy medium of both of them? Do we have a breakdown of that?
Through
know
the
it's a
chair
heavy-
to Councillor Lakatos, that is everything. That is any increases in deductions, any increases in benefits, wages, all of it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything further? Okay, let's move on then to page 72 That's all part of it, isn't it? Page 71 and 72 is the same. No? Oh, administration, sorry. Any discussion on the administration portion? Okay, being none. Move on to fire and emergency services. Page 73. Any discussion on that department? Eric?
Just general question for clarification through the chair to Nancy. The provincial federal funding that we got there, that is ice storm related one-time funding, is that correct? When we're looking at the, sorry, 2025 actuals, like why we,
Yes, correct. That is where it's under emergency services
yeah.
that the MISA grant.
And that's
Yeah.
why materials and supplies were so high. That's just the offsetting expenses related to that.
Correct, yes.
The wages and benefits line there, whoever on staff would like to speak to it in the notes here, reorganization of department due to requirements. Can you expand on that, please? In,
Sorry, through you, Chair, just probably because that's something, if you recall, we've been having discussions with the idea of the current model versus another model, which would be a shared services model. That's where that note is in there with respect to the idea of the funding. As those discussions are going on, we don't have a full answer to that, but that's where that note comes in.
so that is a possible projection then is what you're,
Yes, correct.
okay. So why is that such a large increase in cost if that model is expected to cost more if we go that direction than our current model?
Through the chair to Councillor Dow. It's hard to predict exactly what that will look like. I will assume that it will be lower, but currently we're not in that model and we're still paying staff. And part of the increase is also in the volunteer firefighter pay as well. We have more volunteer firefighters than we have in the past.
Thank you.
Just
Mike?
just a point on the wages we pay the firefighters. It's very, very more than reasonable what we pay these guys. So I've never had a problem with wages and benefits at the fire department because I can't tell you exactly what they're paid per hour, but they definitely deserve anything that they get as far as an increase goes. And there is a minimum that we have to keep in firefighters. And I know a lot of the departments out there are having a really tough time right now getting enough volunteer firefighters to have it a complement for their municipalities. So I don't see any problem with the wages going up.
Thanks, Mike. Eric?
Just another question for clarification through the chair. In revenue, there's a note here, currently exploring options to increase revenue to offset departmental expenses. Can you speak to some of those options?
Go ahead, John.
Certainly, through your chair to Councillor Dow and balance the council. I have a contract person who is looking right now at other opportunities. So there are a number of things. There are things like grants, there's equipment, there are other charitable organizations, the Legion. We actually will be tomorrow actually picking up a fire skid as well. So equipment, things like that. The role of that contract person is to look at other things like, because we have Highway 7 that cuts through the municipality, there's an opportunity to be able to get refunds or some funding with respect to any motor vehicle accidents. We can go back 2 years. Currently, that person is going back and looking at that and looking at what we can do to put something on the revenue, because what happened before is we really didn't explore that to its maximum potential. So she is working with that and bringing those things forward. So she's already doing that work, and we're working with the fire chief to be able to see what kind of revenue you can do, either through grants, funds, but also specifically on things like MTO through their portal on recouping costs over the last 2 years for any motor vehicle accident.
And the cost related to that contract employee, that's reflected here in contracted services, or where is that reflected in the budget?
Through the chair to Council Dow, it's reflected in wages.
Thanks, Nancy. Anything further? Okay, let's move on to the OPP, page 74. Any comments, questions? Mike is our representative on the board, so if you have any questions, maybe he can. We don't have any choice in this. This is one of these mandatory levies that we're forced to pay. But if anybody has any questions, being none, Mike, do you have any comment on it? Or?
Just the only comment I do have is that you're 100% correct. We have no choice in this. This is comes out of head office at the OPP. They have a formula which was agreed upon by the province. I do believe that the wages went up last year. It's not only wages, it's everything has gone up. Concerning the OPP, I have a lot of people say, oh, we're paying $1 million, but I never see them. Well, that's good. You should hope you never see them. You don't want to have to see them. That's one of those services like the fire department. You don't want them showing up at your door because that means something's drastically wrong, but you really appreciate them being there when they do be there. The only other thing is they're changing the, I guess you want to call it the consultation group. Each municipality has a member on MADOC OPP. And now we have to have a member from the general public, and there was supposed to be a provincial member. I don't think we have to have the provincial member. The only thing right now is the OPP have not come up with a formula as to remuneration paid to this person. There isn't anybody on the OPP board right now who gets remuneration for going to meetings, but this new person that the province wants will have to be paid remuneration, and we're not sure what it is. Hopefully it's not a lot, but it could raise our costs next year going forward. But out of $1 million, it went up 20 grand. That's like 0.02%, but it's still a lot of money to us. So that's the only thing I can see coming down the pipe right at the moment.
Thanks, Mike. Eric?
Just for clarification through the chair to Nancy. So that 82,000 2025 that went into reserves, right now that still remains in reserves. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Dow, correct.
Okay,
It's
so
still in reserves.
we have that to pad if we get a future significant increase, there's that to draw from to pad this.
Yes, correct.
Because like that impact 1% is $73,000. So there's a significant impact here.
Thanks. Anything further on the OPP? Okay, page 75, we'll move on to the conservation authorities. And again, we have no choice in this levy, but maybe if there's any questions, there's big changes, announcements this week that they're reducing. Maybe John, would you maybe just explain that a little bit?
Certainly, through your chair to council, I didn't mean to interrupt. There were announcements made yesterday by Minister McCarthy with respect to MOECP, with respect to changes that are being put forward. There are legislative changes that will be introduced, I believe, when the House sits on March 23rd, specifically going from 36 to 9 conservation authorities. And then there'll be other changes with respect to implementation of new models to be in place by January of next year. But that would also include representation and also include any sort of municipal allocation in terms of the levy for the conservation, these now larger aggregated conservation authorities and where that comes from, as well as representation, losing the local representation and being at the upper tier county or single. But again, those are changes that have been proposed and more to come, but suffice to say that this budget sheet will look different next year.
Go ahead, Mike.
John's absolutely correct. What they're going to do is the proposal means there's going to be a provincial board with paid politicians on the board. Right at the moment, I can't see that they say there'd be no staff changes immediately down at the local level. The only thing that everybody's worried about is this is going to cost us way more money now that they're putting a board in there of paid, quote, paid professionals up top, which isn't there at the present time. So I would see this our costs going up not down. There isn't going to be any, I do not foresee any savings with the province taking over. I do not see any increase in service levels. I do not see any way that they're going to do it better than the local boards doing it. The local boards know their floodplains, they know their local area, they know people in the area. If you have a concentrated in one big board someplace else, you know, getting stuff done is going to be harder. Right at the moment, 90%, I would say, of the conservation of Ontario is meeting the mandates set out by the province previously. They're fulfilling all their permits and all their due diligence within the timeline set out. So I don't understand how they say they're going to do it better and that they're going to streamline it. The other thing we're concerned about too is all the properties that the conservation boards own. What's going to happen to them? Like a lot of those properties were donated or given to the conservation areas as parks and recreation areas. We're not sure as to how that's going to be handled. Will the province decide that this is a good housing area and sell off one of our parks? We don't know that. But it just seems like a concentration of authority up to the province and taken away from the local people in the long run. So personally, I'm not happy with this amalgamation and consolidation. And if you take a look at what they're proposing, this is a huge conservation area going to be, and not all the problems of each area are identical. So that's another problem. You've got, you know, you got a board up ahead. Are they going to know all the individual problems, foreseeable problems coming down the pipeline that each individual conservation area has and knows right at the moment? So I would foresee this going up next year and the year after. Just a heads up.
Thanks, Mike. And Marmara's offices are definitely, they were donated. And I don't, there's terms as to how they can be disposed of or if they can be disposed of. So our local offices is exactly like you're describing. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, like, it's similar to what Mike said. I don't see our costs going down in this area. So hopefully through Roma and AMO, they keep pressure on the provincial government because this is mandated and we don't have a choice. Hopefully they keep the pressure on provincial government to help any absorbed cost increases here and not pass more costs down onto municipality.
Thanks, Eric. Anything further? Okay, let's move on then. Page 76 is animal control. Any discussion on that department? Go ahead, Eric.
Just a question through the chair to Nancy. The projections for revenue, are those decreased from actual just to be very conservative?
Through the chair to Councillor Dow, yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. I guess it's good to see our costs go down there, but our revenue go up if you look at the actuals. That department is doing its job and self-funding.
Yes, and that's significantly different than a few years ago where we were, we didn't have any revenue and we weren't doing a very good job of it either. So this is definitely an improvement. I know we get complaints about people not wanting to buy dog tags, but I do think that it's should be a revenue neutral type of service that we provide. So go ahead, Mike.
I know we do get complaints about the cost of it, but I've also had comments about how good the service is from the animal control people if they have a problem, especially I don't think we're any different than any place else. There's a lot of people that get out into the country and they think that you can just unleash their dog and let it go. And a lot of these dogs, not all of them are super friendly. And we've had occasions where people have been bitten and dogs have charged out at them. Maybe not going to bite them, but they definitely scare people that are walking along the road. And the service from the animal control has been, as far as I'm concerned, and comments from people, it's been excellent.
Good. Thanks, Mike. Anything further? Okay, we'll move on then to building services, page 77. Any comments, discussion, questions on that department? Okay, being none. Ron, did you want to comment on that at all or? You have no,
Sure, with the help of Nancy, of course. There's confusion, Nancy, with the money we receive for our administration went down this year by 7,500, is that correct? Is that why this number has changed?
Through the chair to Council Derry. Yes, we've always received $15,000 for administration, and in 2025, we only received 7,500. So that's what I budgeted for 2026. I haven't had confirmation of exactly what we're receiving. So I assumed it would be the same as 2025.
Through the chair to John. The way I understand it, John, all that is arrived at the amount of reserves. Is that correct? Is that, understand that correct?
Through
And it's
Chair to
down right
Councilor
now.
Derry, yes, but as you know, part of what's being discussed is this is the last year of the current agreement, and the agreement needs to be revised based on a number of things. This is one of those items we will be focusing on. I think there's a discussion of sorting out what reserves are there, what is needed in the reserves, and then also what would be the allocation on a prorated basis for each of the 6 municipalities that participate on that. But that agreement, I believe, is going to be brought forward. If not this month, it's next month at the next BISB meeting.
Thank you.
thanks, John. Eric, were you,
I was just gonna add, that's not necessarily the BISB being super generous. They also charge an application admin fee for applying. So this is kind of, they're the middleman on this. Our residents through permit applications are really paying for that.
Right.
thank you. Anything further on that? Being none, move on to bylaw enforcement. Any comments, questions? Okay, being none, transportation services. Yeah, transportation services. Comments, questions? Anyone? Ron, is this where you wanted to discuss anything in particular with bridges or?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, I say under transportation services, did you want to discuss anything on this particular file?
No, actually, when we get into the capital, that's
Yeah.
where that will be.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know, I just maybe if Eric or Celeste want to comment on anything on here, if they've reviewed it, I don't have anything.
Okay. Nancy, go ahead, Nancy.
Through the chair to council, I just wanted to, I think there was a little bit of confusion. There is a budget in the operational for bridge reserves too. There's $164,000 that was budgeted. And there's 100,000 also in capital. And then there's my recommendation to do another 100,000. That is the same as was done in 2025. So it's actually $364,000 that would go into reserves for bridges.
Okay. Anybody have any comments, questions?
Just to,
Then Jane and then Mike.
Okay, so you lost me a little bit. So with the, with the 364,000 with reserves, would that put us over a million? Would that be like 1,264,000 then? Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
yeah, I just, when Nancy said that 364,000, that's with the extra 100,000 is the same as 2025. That's what we did last year, Nancy?
Through the chair to Councillor Stevens. Yes, that is the same.
Okay. So with the extra 100,000, we're just the same as what we put in last year.
Correct.
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
as it stands now, we're 100,000 less than last year.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Ron.
So to be clear to the chair to Nancy. On this line, this says 164,000. Or 175, which one is it, Nancy, going in? Plus the 100 in capital? Or is that part of that?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry. This is the budget from the manager of transportation. So there is $175,000 to be put into to support the asset management plan
Right.
for roads and equipment. So $175,000 goes into that reserve. There's also a budget for $164,000 to go into the bridge reserve. Then there was also $100,000 budgeted in the capital budget.
Right.
And through my recommendations, I've suggested that council consider putting another $100,000 into bridge reserves.
But that consideration isn't on your total presently. The 4.8.
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, no, that would be another addition and would affect the tax rate.
But this is on your 4.8.
Correct, that is part of the budget. Yes,
So if we can deal with the extra at the end, so we know how it's going. I just want to
Yeah.
keep track where we are now. So 4.8, this is part of that 4.8, correct?
through the chair to Councillor Derry, yes, that is correct.
Good.
Anybody else? Eric?
Through the chair to Nancy, I know that contracted services line looks always very big to the public. There's a lot of things in there. Can you explain the transit's role in that line?
Through the chair to Councillor Dow, the municipality of Marmon Lake acts as the host for the funding that the Center Hastings Support Network receives. It's just over 200,000 that comes in, and that money goes out. Like, it's not affecting the tax rate. It's funding that comes in from the government, and we cut a check to the Center Hastings Support Network.
Right, so that's included in that number.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Anything further? Okay. Eric, did you have any?
Just a quick comment. I know staff always work hard on tenders, when we're approving the budget for operations and all the contracted service that goes out to tender service providers that we have for work. I just encourage staff to continue the hard work to be aggressive on those tenders and putting them out there to market to get as many bids as we can on things to really stretch the dollar and get best costs when it comes to material and supplies or roadside mowing or other things that get contracted out.
Thanks, Eric. And I just want to say a big, huge thank you to the transportation department this winter, because I know it's been a challenge, and I think that you've done a great job. And just thank you, and please pass that on to your crew. Jane?
And just a reminder as well that in the budget under contracted services, we have reduced the fall and crosswalk motion by $1,500.
Okay, anything further? Ron?
Well, it's a kind of a iffy question that I have, and I don't know who to ask it to, maybe Nancy. How has the union affected the numbers here? Like, what's the increase the implications of that? Or is there any?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, the union will not affect the transportation service budget. That affects currently our legal budget. But all the dues are paid by the employees.
So it has no impact on this whatsoever.
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, we'll move on to environmental services.
We're in.
Page 81. Sorry?
Streetlight, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Sorry. Streetlights, any comments on that? Traffic lights, we had an incident last summer where our traffic lights were down for what, 3 weeks, I believe, and anyway, I assume we have a new system there, or a fairly new system that would replace the existing one. But anything further on that? Okay, thanks, Ron. Environmental services. Any discussion on environmental services? I have to say, I've already seen a complaint on Facebook over the increase in the water rates. And we had a breakdown yesterday, right? A pipe break or something, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, any questions or comments? Go ahead, Eric.
A couple questions on the details here. Materials and supplies in the notes, reallocation of fuel costs. Can you explain that?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Dow, it's just the rising costs of fuel.
I can comment on that. Through the chair to Councillor Dow, we discovered that the fuel for the landfill wasn't being allocated to the landfill. It was going through the transportation department. So we reallocated it and put it in the correct budget.
Okay. Another question regarding waste. Does the contracted services for this department include continued service providing for recycling to non-eligible sources?
Through the chair to Councillor Dow, yes, it does.
So this will mean a 1 year continued service offering to those producers.
Correct.
What's the cost of that going forward for 2026?
I believe it's noted in. There's a note in there that it's, I believe it was 42,000 in 2025. But that was only for part of the year.
Yeah.
So there's an increase there of 33.5 for the entire year. That also includes cardboard pickup, though, at the dump. That's just not the ineligible producers.
Flips off on,
I got a question. Yeah, I just wondered if through the chair to, I'm not sure, Kayla, I guess. Is there a life expectancy still for this? For the landfill, has that changed, I guess, or what are we looking at there?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, we are still on track with our,
What's the
Arlene.
date again?
I think it's, I'd have to get back to you on that, but we still have quite a few years. I want to say 2025.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you. Go ahead, Eric.
Through the chair to Nancy, do you have a breakdown here for materials and supplies maintenance for, we've invested a lot of money into brand new equipment out at the landfill. What's the budget line specific to maintenance? 2025 compared to 26.
So equipment repairs is, there was no increase in it. It's still budgeted for 25,000.
Okay, and through the chair to the Kayla, the department manager, are you comfortable with that number?
Through the chair to Councillor Dew. Yep, we are very comfortable with that number.
Thank you.
Just one question.
Further, Mike?
Kayla could probably answer the question. I think when we bought the compactor, we got an extended service contract with that too, did we not, Kayla? And the other thing is that compactor to the life expectancy of the dump will add years, not add years, keep us at where it is, because the dump's based on cubic yards, not how many tons we put in there, but the cubic yard. So if we keep it compacted, we can get more into the dump using the same space. That's why that compactor was so necessary to buy the other year. But can you tell me, Kayla, do we have an extended contract on the equipment out there for maintenance or warranties?
Through the chair, we do have warranties, but we do pay for like a maintenance package. Is that what you're asking? Sorry.
Okay, Mike?
I think you may be.
Oh, I think you're frozen, Mike. Maybe Kayla, you could get back to Mike when, if he gets back online. We'll come back to that if he gets back online. You do know that you're frozen, Mike. Oh, he's gone now. Okay, well, we'll move on. Like I say, we can come back to that. So cemetery, any comments or questions on common cemetery?
I think we missed water and sewer.
Did I miss one?
Yeah, water and sewer.
JD2? Oh, sorry, water and sewer. I was thinking it was all together. Anyway, any comments or questions on the water and sewer? Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, it's through the chair to Kayla. I wonder if you could just explain. I understand the increase, but a lot of people don't. I just wondered if you could explain the rationale behind the 14%, just so people can understand why we have to put it up the way we do.
Yeah, of course, through the chair to Councillor Jerry. We've used a lot of our reserves in the past and we haven't been replenishing them. So it's just to help cover the costs moving forward, to start saving so we can do more work in case of emergencies and then also replace our assets as needed.
As well, it's sort of to follow the asset.
Exactly, to follow our asset management plan. Yeah, we have obligations to maintain our service system.
Thank you, Randy.
You're
And
welcome.
that particular increase was recommended by Hempson by a study that we had done.
That's correct.
And 14% was what was needed in order to, go forward and maintain our system, because basically it's supposed to be revenue neutral, is it not?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Thank you. So if anybody wants to see the report, it's the Hempson report, and we just dealt with it, I think the last meeting, 2 council meetings. Go ahead.
I just
Ryan.
want to add to that because a lot of people don't understand the high increase right away, and we haven't been increasing like we should have been as well. Like, it hasn't been gradual enough, and it's a hard hit right now, and I just want people to understand why it is, that's all.
Thanks, Ron. And I think too, when you think back to the Walkerton report and the Walkerton issue, that raised the standards of how water and sewer services are maintained and dealt with. And so from a liability perspective, we must maintain that we have good water. So anyway, thank you. Anything further on that? Okay. Cemetery. I am on the right page, 83. So anything on the cemetery? Eric?
Just a general question through the chair to staff for public information. Increase in cemetery maintenance. Can you speak to that, please?
Go ahead, Kristen, if do you want to speak to it, or Nancy?
Through the chair to Councillor Dow. We have been working on monuments that aren't safe over at the cemetery. So after the ice storm almost a year ago, we had a number actually fall down. So at that time, staff and a company assessed various monuments throughout the cemetery. I can't speak to past restoration efforts, but we had a number of monuments in various states of disrepair, which of course is a liability. People are welcome to use that space, encouraged to be in that space respectfully. And so the last thing we want is for a monument to fall on someone. So we did identify a number of stones in 2025, came to council seeking permission to use some reserve funds in addition to the money that had been budgeted to fix those up. And that list has sort of carried over into 2026. So my hope, as long as council approves, is to regularly be assessing those monuments in the hopes that it's not a huge expense every year, but that it's something that we're taking care of bit by bit as issues arise, rather than waiting a number of years and then spending tens of thousands of dollars to keep it safe.
And just to add to that too, when you talk about selling plots and graves, we're not selling as many as we used to, because now there's cremation, there's more of a trend to go cremation. And before, when you would sell a grave, is it 40% had to go to
To the care and maintenance fund.
reserve fund that you could draw on specifically for maintenance issues,
No.
were they not?
No. So the care and maintenance fund is meant for when the cemetery is closed. So we can't actually access any of those funds. So when we do make revenue, a percentage of it, like Mayor O'Neill says, goes into that trust fund and we can't touch it. The only thing that we are able to use is the interest it makes each year.
Oh, right.
So we're meant to be able to care for the cemetery in perpetuity, but we can't use those funds until there's no opportunity to sell any land, no opportunity for revenue, and then you hope that the funds in that fund are sufficient.
The sale of plots is much less popular than it used to be, and
Much
so,
less.
it's a little bit more difficult to find funds. They pretty much have to come from tax dollars to maintain the cemetery. Go ahead, Kristen.
Sorry, one more thing to add through the chair. We have had work done by a particular local monument company, and they actually run a program where they will match or exceed the money that council or the cemetery board, depending on the case, is planning to contribute for maintenance. And so that's a new program we haven't been part of in the past. But I'm currently in conversations with them about the work that can be done over here. So they're aware of the amount that's in the budget for 2026. And it sounds like we may be able to do work more than double that amount that they will cover from this program that they offer. Some sort of guarantee with their own stones. They then have funds available. So that was unexpected. And a good thing that it's maybe not just going to be on the taxpayer to keep our monuments in good condition.
Good. And I was just gonna say too, there's a trend, and it's something the cemetery board probably should think about, is the niches. I think niche is the proper term. I know down at the Sacred Heart Cemetery, they have constructed one, and they've sold a number of spots in the niche. So going forward, that might be some sort of the easier way to maximize the space of the cemetery, and the maintenance of something like that is so much less than, maintaining these stones, because even I know that there was a program there where they washed the stones to get the moss and stuff off of them. And if you don't sort of maintain them, they just, that cover, I guess, acid rain or whatever goes over them. So anyway, the next cemetery board meeting that we have, maybe that could be on the agenda. So anyway, if there's nothing more on that, Eric?
Just a quick general thank you to Parks and Rec. I got so many positive feedbacks from residents regarding the great job on the trimming and mowing that they're doing in the cemetery beyond previous years. I think families with loved ones in there appreciate that so much, and it's good to see them doing a great job there.
Good, thanks. Anything further? Mike, go ahead.
I just want to apologize. I missed about the last 3 minutes because my internet connection went down. So sorry about that.
Okay, well, I said to Kayla, we're gonna flip back so she can answer your question, because you froze before.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, can you repeat the question through the chair to Councilor?
Muted.
You're muted, Mike.
I hit the wrong button.
There
You
you
were
go.
mentioning we had a service contract for maintenance. Is that based on a certain number of hours or miles or whatever on the equipment, or is it on like a monthly basis, Kyla?
Through the chair to Councilor. Yes, that's correct. We do have a maintenance schedule at 500 hours, which we're approaching, and we're actually in the process right now of scheduling that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ron?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment through the chair to Kayla. Is there possible, Kayla, to increase that maintenance? Only reason I say that because I'm familiar a bit with it. We used to do the maintenance for the equipment out there, and it's such extreme environment for equipment that it's not a like a regular construction site. It's a lot dustier, dirtier, and I just wondered to extend the life of our equipment if it's possible to have a more enhanced schedule that would suit the dump situation. I know it cost us more, but in the end, I think it'd be money well spent.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Jerry, we do have staff doing maintenance frequently and doing checks and stuff to make sure the equipment's running properly, but we can definitely look into increasing our maintenance schedule.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ron.
I just have a question about the, where were we? Cemetery.
Yeah.
Through the chair to Kristen. Kristen, we talked about, I don't know what you call them, monuments.
Niche, isn't it?
They're a good idea. What I'm wondering, Kristen, do we have the land area to have one there? Is there area for vacant for that?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, if a niche wall isn't something that I've done any research into, so I really can't speak to that today. I know staff have previously looked into it and it was determined that the cost was prohibitive, hundreds of thousands of dollars to install one. And with so much lands yet available, I think at that time, that was prior to my time, it was determined that that would cost more at the rate of, we're not burying much at the cemetery. So at the rate of burial, I think it was determined that it'd never be paid off at this rate. So, but I'm sorry, I can't speak today to the kind of land that's required or what exactly that would look like.
Anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the arena. Comments, questions? For Jeff? No comments? Just glad to see that we had a full season of the arena being open, and I only got good comments of people complimenting how good the ice was and how well maintained the arena was inside. So thank you to Jeff and your crew. Anything further? Okay. Parks and Recreation, are you on the right page? Yep, 85, page 85. Parks and Rec, any comments or questions? Eric?
I'd like to make a motion to remove the invasive species management, which is the boat wash station, remove that from the budget.
Seconder for that?
No.
Any further discussion? Go ahead, Eric.
Well, just my reasoning and background is we don't have any additional information when this was originally presented. And I am going to quote from exactly what was said. When this is considered by council and the budget in the new year, it will be more than just a line item. It'll be animated with the idea of a campaign with communication and engagement, and it continues on. So as this was presented, it is just a line item here. I don't think we have the background information we need or the site plan to see how this piece of equipment would even work. I have my doubts on what local usage would be. So while I do value the program, I don't think the usage is there to justify the cost.
Go ahead, Mike, and then Jane.
I would rather we leave it in, just because I know even up our way, Eurasian milfoil, different plant species are becoming a huge problem. I know in the Trent and down through that way, water soldier, Eurasian milfoil, and several other plants are becoming a major problem. I think spending a little bit of money now is going to save us thousands of dollars later on trying to clean up the lakes and the rivers around this area, which are a huge attraction. If water soldier gets into our system up here, that sort of precludes using that section of the lake or the waterway, because it's the leaves on it are so ragged and so sharp that you can't swim through it. And if you boat through it, all those pieces you cut off with your prop float along and they reroute. The Napanee River is also right at the moment got another different plan there. It's some type of lily, and it just chokes the waterway right down. They're spending, I think it's around 15,000 or 20,000 just to treat the small areas that they've got now. So I want to leave that in there because I think if anything gets established, anything we can do to stop it. I've seen people come up to boat launches with weeds hanging off it from someplace else they just came from. So if there's, even if we stop some of it getting in there, it's going to be less money now. I agree with Eric as far as implementing it, but I would hate to see us take it out and then go, in a month from now or after Quinty has made their proposal, because they own the piece of equipment. We go, oh yeah, now we got to put it back into the budget. I would rather just leave it there. And if we don't use it, if we don't agree with what's going on, then we put it into reserves and next year we will not have the cost. But I would hate to take it out right at this moment.
Thanks, Mike, Jane.
So I agree with Mike I just need to, understand something. Nancy, can we from this point, leave it in, but put it directly into reserves? Because I don't believe right now that there is, a management program in place, but I would hate to see us lose that amount.
Through the chair to Councillor Lakatos, you can make a motion that if the funds aren't used, to put into a specific reserve for this. Otherwise, if any funds that aren't used in this department will just go into the Park and Rec reserve. But in the future, if you want to use it, it can be pulled from reserves. Just depends on if you want a specific reserve for this particular thing, or if you're okay with it going into Parks and Rec and pulling it out of Parks and Rec reserve.
You want
Okay,
to
I
think
think-
about it for a minute?
Well, I think we have to deal with Eric's.
Yeah, well, that's what I
motion
was gonna
first.
suggest.
I don't know if we want to amend this into something else. Like ultimately, I would like to see us, like we were told when this was first presented, we should really have a staff report on this. We don't have enough information to really make a proper decision. So if we're going to leave it in there, that's fine. But I would suggest that be contingent on a staff report with site plans to know if it even makes sense. My concern is really both of our in-town, the Booster Park and Meg's Landing spaces are extremely tight and not conducive to this piece of equipment. If you've ever been there on a weekend trying to launch or pull out, it's a hard enough job to do that with all the traffic, let alone a wash station and someone walking space, washing a boat. I also have safety concerns. That's high pressure water and brushes and stuff that are there. We have no one there to monitor it. It's going to be on its own at that location. So while I value the program, unlike Belleville or larger spaces where they have really nice big boat launches with lots of space, I don't think it works for our space.
Thanks. Can I just ask Jeff? Jeff, are you familiar with this program, like how it operates and the equipment involved and space required?
Through the chair, from what has been presented in years past, I believe I am familiar with the space that it will consume. I definitely recognize Councillor Dow's his concerns about the parking constraints as is. It is definitely something that we could consider for up at Dickey Lake and those other waterways that see less traffic that we intend to preserve. As far as speaking on the particulars of it, I don't have them on hand right now, but I'd be happy to provide them.
So to Eric's point about a staff report, maybe that could be included in a staff report. Eric, does that change your mind?
I'll let my motion go to vote, and if it fails, then you council can decide otherwise, but I think we should remove it. Well, my motion is that we remove that $2,400 from this budget allocated for that program. Right, that it's
not put it in reserve.
Not put it in reserves, just remove it. It's my understanding that this $2,400 only funds a matter of weeks. It's not a piece of equipment that would even be there the whole year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So is there a seconder for, okay, Ron? Oh, sorry. Who
I guess I'm
seconded
30.
it? Oh, sorry. Okay, anything further on that motion then? So I'll call to a vote, all in favor? So that's carried. Okay, anything further on
Yeah, I have a
Parks and Rec? Sorry, Ron?
Through the chair to Jeff. Could you elaborate on the item reduction in Christmas light cost 5,000? Can you tell us what that means?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, I believe that is due to the lack of contributions from former fundraising efforts. We were to match what was raised through Frolicking on Foresight. So now I believe for the time being, that is on hold, and therefore that is the Christmas decorations.
Through the chair to Councillor Derry.
Yep.
We were receiving donations from, I believe it's the Christmas Light Group, Light Up Murmur, yes. They were donating $5,000 and we were matching it for a few years. But I think now that all the lights are established, that they're not donating money anymore, so we don't have to match it either.
So we've met our goal with our Christmas lights, I guess is what this means, correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further, Jane?
Kristen, is it too late to make a motion going back to something about the invasive species?
So we've already carried the motion to remove
Yes.
that
yes.
item. So I guess it depends what your motion is about.
Well, I don't believe that after the motion was defeated, there was any talk of a staff report.
The motion was not defeated, it was carried. So
Oh, sorry, okay.
2,400 has
Yes, yes, okay,
been removed from the budget.
okay. No, sorry, okay, so sorry, I'm looking at this from the wrong side of the. If I wanted to make a motion about a staff report, then would that be during the budget or would that have to be during a regular meeting?
Through the chair, there's nothing wrong with doing that now.
Okay.
But will not be participating in the program this year because
No.
we've just taken that out. Yeah.
Correct. Not this year. So we're.
But if you would like to see a staff report about the program, for a decision in the future,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to bring a staff report forward on the implementation and management of an invasive species program.
Can I get a seconder for that motion? Eric? Discussion, Mike, you had your hand up. I'm not sure if you were seconding or you just.
I was just seconding it.
Oh, okay. So, well, Eric beat you to it. So any further discussion on that? Being none, all in
Oh,
favor?
no, he's got his. John.
Oh, sorry, Don, go ahead.
Sorry, not really my role to ask for a point of clarity, but just to focus in on this. The item that was taken out was a specific program run by others. When you say an invasive species program, are you speaking specifically to this one or to something which is a more enhanced?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Let's make it easy and say this one.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further? Okay. That was just for clarification, John, right? You don't need anything more. That's carried. Yeah, it's carried. Right? Kristen, that was carried. Oh, the previous motion was carried. Okay, well, we got a mover and a seconder, so anything further on that motion? So all in favor? Okay, thank you, that was carried. Anything further on Parks and Rec, Eric?
Yeah, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that for the 2026 budget, Booster Park be broken out from, on a separate page from the Parks and Rec total budget so that council and the public can understand the costs and revenues of that facility.
Okay, it's
Sorry, 27. Sorry.
So is there a seconder for that? Ron? Any questions or comments on that motion? Being none, all in, oh, sorry, John, go ahead.
Again, through your chair to Councillor Dow, what I want to do is just clarify. Last year, I brought forward a report that did exactly that. We also were in the first year, or approaching the first year of a 3-year contract with the management of that. The reason why there wasn't a specific broken out costing and all of that was 2 reasons. One was there were no proposed increases being proposed by staff. And the other part is in this particular instance, we're looking at, we don't have the audited statement. So be able to verify those numbers as to what that revenue is. Looking at next year would be the 3rd year of that contract, that one that council approved. Absolutely, we would spell all that out, because it would also be looking at whether or not on the cost recovery, the cost curve, whether that's being bent or not. So I just wanted to add that. Apologize for interrupting the vote.
Thank you. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I would just suggest we needed to have that as council. We need to be informed and know, especially when the liability is on the residents and taxpayers. That facility hasn't ran well in the past and is needed to be levy subsidized, and that's not, in my opinion, appropriate. Our goal with that seasonal part of the operation should be to make it self-fund itself, if not generate profit with the additional sites that are there. So if having those numbers separate, especially on an annual basis, will help keep our focus on that and making sure that the revenue is there to match what the expenses are as expenses go up. Council needs to make responsible decisions about that facility, and it shouldn't come on the back of a levy impact.
Thanks. Anything further? Okay, being none, that there's nothing more on Parks and Rec. Oh,
I'm sorry, did you make a motion?
oh, yeah. Maybe, did we vote? No, we haven't voted yet, but we had a mover and a seconder. Ron seconded it, right? You want to repeat that motion just so everybody's clear?
That for the 2027 budget, Booster Park operations be broken out of Parks and Rec in presentation, so that council and the public can better understand revenue, expenses, and I guess fiscal position of seasonal operation.
So we had a mover and a seconder, so all in favor? That's carried. Anything further on Parks and Rec? Okay, let's move on to the library. Sorry? Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry, flipped the page the wrong way. Okay, facilities. Any comments or questions on facilities? I think our facilities have been much improved, and again, thank you, Jeff. Anything further? Go ahead, Ron.
I just wonder, I don't see it here. I may be missing it. I just wonder if Jeff, through the chair, if Jeff could weigh in on where we stand with the Laurel Hall. What's the need, not what the need is, but where do we stand on that, Jeff? Are we making headway with it, or is it just sitting there?
Through the chair to Councillor Derry, Laurel Hall was a topic of discussion last year, and at this current moment, it is still a municipal asset that we need to continue to invest in. Certain building expenses for this year would include repairs to the roof and general upkeep that has lacked in other years. So therefore, I would like to update plumbing fixtures, repair the roof leak, and continue to invest in that municipal asset.
So the roof is leaking, you say?
That is correct. I'm hoping at this moment it is a minor leak It is just sporadic. And I hope that a minor repair will remediate the issue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Through the chair to Jeff, had just generally, what direction is usage of that facility headed in terms of rental of the space?
Through the chair to Councillor Dowd. There was a fair number of rentals in the tail end of 2025. Probably every weekend we had one function going on, but in the grand scheme, it is another building that we could definitely consider looking at alternative means to generate revenue from that source, given that we are putting a continued investment into it, as well as the utilities and all that. So
Are you getting many inquiries at all even for the space? Is insurance one of the barriers there, or just it's
I would
your perspective?
I would say that insurance is definitely a barrier with all of our facilities. I think I would be able to, more so in the arena as far as booking ice would be, insurance is a barrier for us in that way. DeLauro is a different situation as far as what size of party suits that location, as well as the age of that facility. If we were going to try to generate more revenue from that facility, then we would have to consider renovations to continue the upkeep. At this time, we would just like to look to the continued usage and that it stays open.
Thanks, Jeff. I believe when we had a report done 3 years ago, it actually identified that as being surplus to our needs. Anyway, any further comments? Ron, did I see? No? Anything further? Okay, nothing more for facilities then? Okay, let's move on then to the library. Comments? Nancy?
Through the chair to Mayor O'Neill, the library budget's already been
Already
approved.
passed,
Yep.
yes. Okay, economic development, did I miss one?
Planning
Yeah,
and zoning.
planning and zoning. Any comments on this? I'd like to maybe, John, if you could just give a little bit of a comment about the Spark program that we're involved in with the Hastings County, please.
Sure, through your chair to council and the public. Last year, council took it upon themselves to look at how working with the county as they're taking the responsibility for planning. They, through the Spark program, we have been working with the county. They're taking over responsibility for a great deal of the processing and administration of planning and zoning, not completely, but certainly some of it. And they've been doing a very good job with respect to that. There's some other larger items that I'll be working with them with respect to. We have outdated zoning bylaw. We have secondary plans as well, and our official plan needs to be updated. But again, the working relationship is good. The county is having some challenges in terms of some of its staffing, but is still doing a good job. And Emily Galloway, as our lead planner, has been doing an excellent job in that respect.
Thanks, John. Any questions or further comments on the planning and zoning? Okay, seeing none. My information from Hastings County is that the applications have kind of declined, so I don't know going forward how that'll impact the Spark program, but they are definitely down to some degree. Yeah, that too. So anyway, so economic development. Any comments, questions? Eric?
Through the chair to John, in this list here for wages and benefits, we have also includes a summer student. I'm, I guess, first of all, disappointed to see that we're not taking advantage of the Canada Summer Jobs Program and those available grant funds. Is there a plan to hire a summer student, and what does that plan look like?
Through your chair to Councillor Dow, I do agree there are lost opportunities in terms of doing the kind of summer jobs. That's something that all the departments. I looked at that. Sometimes it fits, sometimes it doesn't fit with the work plan for each of the departments. With respect to economic development, my hope is that through the hiring of a new role, which will help support on the economic development and myself, we could look at having a summer student, but honestly, with the workload here and current staffing, I don't have a plan for that right now.
Anything further?
So will we get a report or something on that to come forward with a plan for what the tourism center, whether that's going to be open through the summer season or what that is going to look like?
Absolutely. Through you, Chair, to Councillor Dow, absolutely will provide that. I had some other ideas about other opportunities, but I will absolutely bring that forward in terms of a report.
Jane?
Sorry, John, I just need some clarification. So did you say because we don't have an individual yet for this position that we don't have a position to put a summer student in? Oh, I didn't quite understand your answer.
Go
Sure.
ahead,
Through you,
Jane.
Chair, to Councillor Lakatos. Right now, I have not been able to put a plan together because again, with the hiring of what that looks like with respect to support for EDAC, I don't have plans right now for a summer student. I do have plans for the idea of how we can use the tourism center building, but I don't have all those in place yet. I'll be working with a new staff person once they're hired to put that in place and bring a report forward to council. I hope that answers.
Yeah, so basically, because we don't have a person, we can't have a summer job.
I think based on just me and my capacity to be able to do this on top of everything else, I have not been able to do that.
And we do have a number of applications for this position. And when does it close, John?
So through you, Chair, March 20th.
March 20th. So following that, I think we'll have more information. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I'm disappointed because we had a summer student there last year. I worked on weekends. If we don't have a summer student, that tourist center is closed. And if we don't have, because a full-time person that we hire usually doesn't work the weekends too, because that would put her into like a 60-hour work week. We had a summer student last year, and I do believe our previous manager of that was not available. So we still ran the information booth. So I'm disappointed that we don't have anybody there. Summer student grants are basically the same every year. So I don't see what I'm going to sound critical here, but I don't see what the big deal of putting out the applications is, because it's going to be just cut and paste from last year into the new one for this year. Send it in. If we get somebody, fine. If we don't, if we get the allocation of money and then we try to hire, apparently last year, according to Dylan, we had nobody suitable to fill those locations. I think we had 5 approved last year. I think we only hired 3 people. So we're missing money each year. And the other question I got is, in the wages and benefits up there, is there a part-time person included in that to cover weekends and the tourist information booth there over the summer? Or is this just strictly the person who's coming in to do the jobs, which entail more than just the tourist center and economic development?
Go
Can you
ahead.
answer that question?
Nancy's going to respond, Mike.
Through the chair to Councillor Stevens, we only received 1 grant last year for the summer students, and that was for economic development. And it was for just over $2,000. We weren't approved for any other departments. So that is why there was only the 1. I think the idea and our plan would be to have a summer student there through the summer and on weekends. We just haven't advertised for the job yet and hashed out exactly what that position will look like.
Thanks, Nancy.
Okay, sorry, my apologies then, Nancy. I was led to believe that the Works Department had applied for summer students and they just didn't get any. That was what I understood. So I guess I misunderstood. But not applying for summer students at the Works Department and down there is, to me, that's an easy application to do because I assume it's basically the same application every year.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Through the chair to Counselor Stevens, I believe that there were positions applied for the roads department, but we weren't granted them. They turned it down.
Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, my question is then on page 37 here, provincial federal funding, decrease in Canada Summer Jobs Funding, 10,255. Where is that number coming from?
So we didn't receive the funding last year and it wasn't applied for this year. So it's a decrease in funding.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay, anything further for economic development? Okay, being, oh, Eric?
Sorry, through the chair to John, just a general question here. I know that job is posted right now with the salary kind of range. I understand that that is a very specific position with a lot of very developed skill sets required to do that job. So there's a range posted. This salary line reflected in the department budget, does that cover to the max of what that salary range is?
Go ahead, Nancy.
Through the chair to Counselor Dow. Yes, it does.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay, so I just, okay, so now, oh. So now I'm a bit lost, and I think if I am, maybe somebody else out there is too. Okay, so number one, will we have somebody coming in on weekends to be at the tourism office? And is that somebody allocated in here?
Through the chair to Counselor Lakatos. Definitely our intention and plan is to have a summer student there. And yes, it is accounted for in the budget. In this budget, yes, it's part of the salaries.
Oops. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, next is the medical center. Any comments? Eric?
Through the chair to whoever on staff would like to answer. So revenue, obviously, we don't have a tenant in the lower level of the medical center anymore. So there's a decrease in rental income, $11,000. Do we have a plan to fill that space? Who's executing on that? And are we going to look at adjusting that to a market rate? I know that tenant that was in there had that same, I believe that same rental rate for many years. Is there a plan? That revenue is important and we're letting that walk away with the space being vacant. What's the plan there?
Well,
Go ahead,
you
Deb.
wanna,
Through the chair to Counselor Dow. At the moment, we have shown the space to one prospective business. It was deemed insufficient space for that user. I do believe it's a great space that we do need to prioritize in finding a tenant for, and we will do our best in the future to obtain that.
As of right now, though, is it publicly being marketed as available?
So through Chair to Counselor Dow, it is not. I have been talking to other groups about doing that, but it is not being publicly broadcast that way in terms of advertised, but that is something that will happen.
And the rate are in the tenants that we're showing to, are we looking at a market rate and adjustment of what we were previously charging?
Through your chair to Counselor Dow, perhaps Jeff, the conversation we had in terms of what the feedback we got from the one prospective tenant.
Through the chair to Counselor Dow. At this moment, we were working with, we didn't get that far into our discussions with that prospective group. We don't have people knocking down our door for that space right now. So in the preliminary, we're just looking to fulfill the need of that existing space and the existing contract that the former business was occupying.
If
And
I
if
may.
I can just add to this, we're also dealing with, the family health team. And, you know, they sort of have some jurisdiction, I think, over, I know at one time I referred someone to Mary, and she said to me, her response to me was, they wanted to only rent those spaces to people with medical, sort of providing medical services, not just anybody. So there's that, and I believe that Dr. Payman, I think he's the leaseor of our facility. Am I right on that? As it relates to the building and so forth. Nancy, do you know the answer to that?
I believe so. I'd have to look at the agreement, but I
Yeah,
believe
so there's
yeah.
more components to it than just putting a for sale sign or a for lease sign on it. There's those other, and John, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, just to build on what has already been discussed. So one is looking at the idea of how we create a center, a hub with respect to medical services or medical related services. We're certainly looking at doing that. I have had conversations with Dr. Payne about that and also looking at other to attract that. That said, Jeff had taken the lead. I talked to the one prospective tenant. When that didn't seem to work from a space size or being able to make that particular space work, we looked at other things like looking in the memorial building in terms of the library, looking up and if there's other reconfiguration with respect to the space up there, which seemed attractive at one point, but again, on further sort of reflection, that particular tenant wasn't interested. So as these things come forward, we look at our space, lower hall being another option as well. We look at any of the underutilized spaces with the idea of not only attracting tenants, but also if one particular space doesn't work, if we can be flexible enough to do that. But I do believe a better job has to be done on marketing these things. Right now, it's being done as, ad hoc and also where those conversations happen. There'll be a better look at marketing that on a concentrated basis.
Thanks, John. Anything further? Eric?
So I'd maybe put a motion on the floor then to have a report back to council. If those meetings have to take place with the doctors who are the leaseor and the family health team, so that we can get some information on what is possible with that space.
I just think that, Eric, in talking to, or like we went through this, when we were trying to consider if we had space for another doctor. Go ahead, John.
Terribly sorry to interrupt. I think you need a seconder and then we can have a discussion.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was.
You're putting forth the motion? Sorry,
I'll second the motion.
Okay,
okay, so you're looking for a staff report to do with that space?
yeah,
Can you repeat it, Eric?
yeah, to request a staff report related to what we can do with that space based on discussions with the current tenants, the family health team, whatever's going to be involved, what we're going to ask for a market rate so that council can have that information and it becomes public.
In your second one?
No, I'm commenting. He's, I've
So I
already.
need a
seconded.
seconder for that one.
I second it.
Oh, that's what I was asking. You seconded that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hey,
So-
comment, Jane.
Mike, having experience with commercial rentals, I think this motion is a very important motion and relative motion because until we as council know who can and cannot go in there, we're basically just sitting on an empty spot and not knowing what to do with it. So we need the ammunition. So that's why I think this staff report's very, very important.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? I'm just gonna comment that I think we're intruding a little bit on the arrangements that we have there with the family health team and with Dr. Payman. I can't say his last name. I can't remember it. They seem to be the contact, I guess. Am I right, Jeff, for that? They're sort of the contact people when there's a potential for rental.
Through the chair, not that I'm aware of. I would have to get back to you on that information.
Okay, like
I would-
that'd be covered in the staff report, so.
Yeah, like that's the information I'm looking to get back, right? It's our cost. We're covering the cost for that building as far as the expenses. And it's also our missed opportunity for revenue. When that space is sitting there with a cost and no offsetting revenue, we need to act on that to recover those costs, if it's not being utilized. So what are the possibilities? Let's move forward and fill that space that's costing us money.
Okay. Okay.
I guess the staff report, if the motion moves, the staff report would also, enlighten council as to if the current occupants have the first right of refusal as to who moves in there, because I think there's some confusion on that right now.
John?
I think a staff report's appropriate in terms of being able to understand so that all councils on the same page with respect to any caveats, qualifications, any provisos that are there, and also help as the Councillor Dow had indicated, bringing this to the public and also help in terms of the marketing of that particular space. We do absolutely want to maximize any of the revenues that we get from any and all of our spaces, including this one.
Well, and I'm sure that all of council understand that we have a doctor recruitment program. And part of that program involves the apartment, free space for them. Maybe that could also just to bring that information out to the public, what the doctor recruitment program involves, and because it also involves the space in the facility. Any other comments or questions? So I'll call the motion or call for a vote. All in favor? That's carried. So anything further on them? Oh, go ahead, Kristen. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was thinking that we were just at a good spot here to do that. So I need a motion that we, half an hour? We reconvene, say at 12:35. So need a motion to take a break for lunch. Jane, and second? Nobody want to go for lunch? Second? Ron? All in favor? That's carried.